Too nice. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Today we are going to be doing our second observation, which is fabulous. And Ms. Ellis has agreed to teach for us.
Yes.
And when you guys were planning last Tuesday for this lesson, going through and we had a great discussion about what we wanted to do and what we wanted to see. And I need to turn this other guy on as well. We talked about what we wanted the kids to be able to do. What was our data collection? And so let's look at this together and make sure this is what we want to see and do today, and we can adjust it as needed. So we are working with the standard know and use various text features to locate key facts or information in a text efficiently. And we talked about that, how y'all are working with the kids on knowing what the text features are and then being able to use them. And today we're looking, our data collection is, do the students know how to create and use text features? Is that correct? Do we need to adjust that, Ms. Ellis?
So yesterday they were introduced to them, and then we dug into magazines to see if we could find examples and created a chart. And so today we are taking what we know about those text features and applying them by using the book, Sharks, and then they're going to create like a caption or a diagram. And
I used the last Kleenex. I'm sorry.
No, I'm in
and close those. Anyway, and then they'll go on into writing where hopefully they will use, which some already have.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that sounds right.
Okay. And so then the other thing is,
Thank you.
We talked about why they're using text features. Why are they learning about text features? So do the students understand why they use text features? Do we want to keep that for today? Is that part of today, or is that in a later lesson? Is that something that you'll be teaching them, reminding them of?
Well, they definitely need to know why they use them.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't say anything about that yesterday.
Okay. Is that something you foresee yourself saying today?
Yeah.
Or yeah.
Did y'all say that yesterday or anything?
I said sometimes I get lost in a nonfiction reader. Like facts. And then I see something, I'm like, oh, this is a close-up picture, and I might look at that. Like, sometimes as an adult, I get lost. That's all I said.
I kind of touched on it. I just said, to understand the text better, it's almost like little help things throughout the book to kind of help you. What is the picture showing? What is that? That's kind of what I said.
And it's been, it's done through guided reading all the time because we use the table of contents and the glossary. So, and we talk about why.
Because when we brought up the standard, remember we were talking about how it said locate key facts or information efficiently. So that was I thought very interesting that it's, because we just think about the knowing and the using, but the why is such an important component of
I
it.
think I mentioned an index, like, you sometimes look in the book if you wanted to find just something specifically. You wouldn't have to turn every single page. You could go to that and find the page it's on. And so it saves you time if you're looking for something specifically.
And that goes to that efficiently, part saving you time. And then are we still looking for engagement level with the Kagan structures today, like we did last time?
They are doing a both record Rally Robin.
Okay, so we want to take a look at that and see if it's effective for this lesson. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our student learning activities on our chart. So Ms. Ellis, walk us through what are we going to see today? What are the learning activities for today?
Okay, so we're going to come in and we are going to use the book Sharks. and our posters.
That you made yesterday.
No, the posters that give a description
Oh,
of
okay.
like captions and close-ups and
The text features.
and the diagrams. Yes, to give examples.
Okay.
And then they're gonna have the flat book that has each of those 3 text features that we, taught yesterday.
And those are caption, diagram,
And close-ups.
and close-ups. Okay.
And so we're gonna use the book sharks to create those text features. So they're gonna apply, what they learned yesterday about them and create their own captions, diagrams, and close-ups.
And they're doing this
Both record.
both record.
Mhm. So everybody will have their own.
So is this shoulder partners?
Yes. And then, when they're completed, we'll do the structure team up. So they can share, what they came up with another team.
Okay.
And then they will go on into their independent writing.
So, and it's writer's workshop, correct?
Yes.
Mhm. Okay.
So I guess I have a question really quick, but because of what I found in a publishing basket,
Mhm.
share times usually, you have mini lesson, you have your independent work time, and then you have share time.
Mhm.
But with the time and all, should I upfront share what Natavia did prior to heading into Writer's
Okay,
Workshop?
tell us what you found in the publishing basket that she did, and let's discuss it.
Well, she wrote a story and published it over how to grow lemons. And so when she was working on her illustration, I found that she had drawn a picture of a lemon, and then she had put a circle, I think, and drew the seeds and wrote close up. So we would know what the lemon seeds. And so I had no idea. I walked over there and found that, and I was like, ah.
Mhm. Yeah, because that's that
Yeah.
application that we're wanting them to
Mhm.
apply what they've learned, and she
Right.
did it almost immediately, right?
Yes.
So I like your idea. Do y'all like that
She
idea?
can use it for an example.
Uh-huh, so up
Mhm.
here, so
Before
you've got the
we went.
posters you're using for examples, you can include Natavia's.
So you would do it up there instead before they go into work time? Is that where you would
What do
place
you-
it?
What do y'all think?
I think I would, just to kind of give them,
'Cause
from
I-
another student.
Because she said it's an.
In with, so instead of the poster that gives the close-up, I would use Natavia's.
What do y'all think?
Mhm.
I think that sounds fabulous.
You use,
Anytime you use
the
the-
students' work.
The students' work. Mhm. Okay, so poster text features for examples, and spell Natavia for me.
N-A apostrophe, capital T, A-V-I-A-H.
Okay. Mhm. I think that sounds lovely. Okay, anything else for learning activities that we're gonna see today?
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's talk about anticipated teacher and student responses. Excuse me. So during, you guys have already read the book sharks,
Mhm.
obviously with the students. Are you gonna reread any part of it, or are you just gonna turn and show parts of it?
Yes, because I flip-flop writing and reading, so I've already read it again today, so I won't read it. It'll just be to the certain pages where we want to see examples and want them to apply the,
Is there any
The text features.
anticipated teacher or student response with that? Will you be asking any questions, or will you be anticipating the students?
asking any questions when they're applying it, like when I show the picture and they're gonna draw and then make the caption?
Any responses that you anticipate there?
I'm sure there are.
Okay, well, we can, yeah, we can come back to that, and anybody, feel free to jump in if you think of something.
Yeah, those are anticipated, so.
So what about with the posters, what about when you show Natavia's paper, do you anticipate any student responses at that point?
I mean, yes, I would think they would just be positive, like it's gonna be almost like, oh, I can do that in my writing.
Build that confidence.
Okay.
Maybe I see what you're talking about here, but what we do,
Do you foresee, you responding in any way in this area here?
Gosh, anticipate is so hard for me until I get into it and hear
No,
what
I
the
tot-
students say
I
and
totally
know how you're gonna
react
respond.
to that.
Yes.
What about, with the, and this one seems to not lend itself as much as the other lesson that we did, that, because we were reading the text and asking questions, and so
Mhm.
that was a little bit different format as well. What about when you're doing the flat book with the text features and the students are working with that? Do you foresee any anticipated?
Well, moving
response?
back up to the posters really quick and the book charts, I mean, I can see myself maybe saying, you know, why is this an example of a caption? Something like that.
Mhm.
Or close up, we have all those teeth that we looked at, and that really blows them away that there's so different kinds of teeth. So
Mhm.
they always wow at the teeth.
So
Monday.
you might see some wow.
For close
Yeah.
up.
Mhm.
Close up.
Especially seeing the tables. That may be a way to, whoa, she already did it.
Mhm. Okay, what about with the flat book? When you explain to them how to do the flat book, do you anticipate any student responses when you're explaining how to do it?
Mm.
Questions or responses?
So the flat book is labeled with captions, and then, well, at first it says nonfiction text features, you flap that, and it's captions where they do their drawing. And then it does that same thing with diagram and close-ups.
Do you anticipate any questions from the students at this time? When you show them how to do it?
I mean,
We might have to draw, it's like, mine's ugly. No, it's not. It's not gonna be perfect. And I show them mine. See how mine's not perfect? That's okay.
You don't know how to draw a shark.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, do the best you can, and then I'll teach them, you know, the little 8 fish. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what about whenever they're using the both record Kagan structure? Do you foresee any?
well, that's gonna work as like one person, like let's say we'll do captions. One person will give their idea, like they'll both draw, and then the one person will give their idea of like, the caption, this is the largest shark in the ocean, and then they'll both write that caption. So
Do you foresee?
I mean, I could see maybe some raising their hand and asking, you know, is this a good caption for this picture? I mean, they get along really well. I don't see any issues with it, one saying it and they both writing it or anything.
Do you have your structure sheet like you usually do up on the board for them for this structure?
Well, I'm gonna have to be using the Elmo.
Oh, okay.
But I have the flip book
Yeah.
that tells the directions for both record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about when it's time to team up to share with another team? Do you anticipate any teacher or student responses at that point?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be a lot of responses because they'll be sharing and, you know, like I said, they're all pretty aware of what they say and don't try to hurt anybody's feelings. So I think it'll just be a lot of positive responses. Oh, I like that you came up with that one. And
Okay. What about anything during writer's workshop, the independent writing time? Do you anticipate any responses from the students either connected to this or independent of that?
yeah, so this is when I'll pull the kids to conference about theirs, and then so yeah, there'll be a lot of one-on-one conferencing going on, and I know that I have a few that that I've already pulled, that I know that we kind of started one yesterday with Maite because she's writing about eggs, and I was like, "Do you like eggs?" And she's like, and I'm like, "Okay, you've got a lot of good information here." But, so I know I'll be pulling her first because we got started yesterday and then time was up. And so where we were at yesterday is she was going to get a computer to research a couple of vocabulary that she got in there for eggs. So.
Okay, what about, let's talk about points to notice. What do we want to make sure that we notice? And anybody feel free to jump in based on when we planned last week and what we talked about already. So when Ms. Ellis is doing the book Sharks and showing the book Sharks, what are we wanting to notice as observers? What data? What are we wanting to notice?
With the students or?
Mhm.
Engagement. Yeah, engagement, good listening.
Okay, tell me about that. What is that going to look like?
Yeah. What their eyes look like.
Mhm.
They s-
Maybe asking questions if they, something more they want to know, or.
What about whenever we get to the point of doing the posters and sharing the Tavia's paper? What are we looking for? What data collection?
Maybe responses that they understand. You might hear some give like examples. Oh, I saw a caption with my reading yesterday. Blah blah.
Connections?
Yeah, connections are a big one.
So, connections. What about with the flat book? What data are we looking for? This is where we're going to do some
That
observation.
they apply it correctly.
Mhm. So what will that look like? What do you want us to be looking for?
Well, like, I keep going to the caption because it's the first one there, but that the caption that they put with it makes sense, that it fits with the picture.
And probably the same held true for the diagram and the
Right,
concept
that just
it-
that they have parts labeled.
And how will we know if they are able to apply and create their own text features using both record? What is that going to look like? And you can talk about, you've kind of already talked a little bit about the applying the text features, but what about the both record? What are we noticing? What are we looking for?
That they are working together, synergizing. They respect somebody else's ideas. Sorry. I should have just left it with working together. call it Heads Together, because where you can see they're both in it.
Okay, so that's good for us, so we know we're looking for heads together. Literally and figuratively. Okay, what about when they team up to share with another team? What's the important thing for us to notice? What's the data collection?
Well, this is done so that they can hear others' ideas. You know, because it might be something that they didn't think of, and they can hear what captions they came up with, or how they, created the diagram with their labels. Might be a little bit different, so it just makes their mind grow.
And what is that gonna look like for us? How are we gonna observe that?
So you're gonna see them close together. You're gonna see one student talking at a time. And I hope that you hear praises.
Okay, what about during writer's workshop? Normally you are meeting and conferencing with students and you don't get to watch the rest of the class
Right.
because you're busy conferencing, so what can we be looking at for you?
That they're all on task. They do get to choose wherever they want to go in the classroom. And you might, it's gonna it'll look different. Some might have a computer. Some might have, be working on a story or an illustration. So it's any of those. So basically the thing is that they're on task.
On task no matter what,
Yes.
no matter
Because that is hard
where
to
or what they're doing.
monitor when you're conferencing.
Okay.
Basically all I can go off is the base level, because you can take just a glance up and know who's on task.
Okay, so when we come back, we will do the what did we notice and why is it important, and then our takeaways from today. Any thing that you thought of that we need to go back and add to our list?
Mine's ugly, keeps sticking out to me.
I messed up, that's what I did. I messed up.
It's okay.
Not right now. Never mind.
Okay, so how do you want us to, do you want us to take a certain group, last time?
I can give you some names.
Okay.
Are you wanting like struggling writers?
You divvy it up however you want to divvy it up.
Okay, so some names to watch for. I'd watch Ivana, Seth. Seth is not a struggling writer. He's an off-task student.
Okay.
So Gavin, but I typically pull Gavin. He usually stays at the back table with me, and I'm working with him one-on-one while I'm conferencing.
Okay.
Because
He needs that.
yes, so he will be with me. Yes, I won't change it up. I guess I'll just keep it how it
What
always
about
is.
during the flat book creation? Do you want us to take a certain spot in the room like we did?
Yes, because they're set up like team 1, 2, team 3, 4, team 5, 6. So
All right, do you want to assign us, or do you want us to just go in there and kind of just go to that spot?
I'm just going to tell you, Gavin's over at team 6.
Okay.
So, but orally, it's amazing. It's just when it goes down to pencil paper tasks where it struggles. So,
Okay, so we'll just, when we get in there, we'll just kind of.
does he understand, these text features? Yes. Can he apply them? And you tell what it is?
Maybe, okay.
I think he thinks he sees it as he applied it correctly. It's just, he could probably tell you all about it, but.
Okay. So we'll let you go ahead and go and
Okay.
get ready.
Okay.
And then it's like 12:54. Do you want us to come in right at 1?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it won't take me a second to get things
Okay.
set up.
Okay. Okay, so just like last time, We won't talk to this.
Oh, and FYI, I'm not organized like Karen, so you need your own writing utensils. And your paper.
Got it. Got it.
I'm glad you came back because I was about ready to run you down.
Well, I
You
just
should-
been to that coaching thing, so
Yeah.
I had all the
Uh-huh.
coaching
You had
sheets.
it all ready to go.
I'm
You should
sure I
have told the
thought-
kids that we're not there and don't.
I already have, but
Okay, okay, good.
they know
And that
that.
we're not being mean by not helping, but we're not
Okay.
there.
Invisible. Invisible.
And then we'll lean in to listen and we'll shift our focus, and we'll take non-evaluative student data notes. Any questions about going in today to watch this lesson?
I taught it this morning
Mhm.
because I flipped my day too. I thought it'd be easier for the sub to do other subjects in the afternoon. So I kind of already saw what it looked like.
Oh, so talk about that a little
Black
bit.
book wise. It was a lot of mine's ugly. They were so worried about what the picture was that we lost focus of the caption and stuff. And I made a PowerPoint because we had already read the book twice, kind of discussed all of those. So I made different little family